Well, here's one way of looking at it. So let's say you take the alternative approach, okay? You're gonna try your partner on for size, so you live together. Well, first of all, we know that couples who live together are more likely to get divorced rather than less. We know that the probability of cheating is proportionate to the number of partners before the marriage or the committed relationship.
Really?
Well, partly that's just self-evidence. Like the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Right, so if you had a lot of partners, you're the sort of person who's likely to have a lot of partners. And then there's also a conceptual problem. It's like, are you shopping for a car? It's like you're gonna take it out for a test drive and see how it goes? Okay, that's not the right metaphor. And then here's another problem. I'm gonna see what it's like to be married by living with this person. It's like, no, you're not. Because you don't know what it's like to be married until you're married. Whatever you're doing when you live together, that's not a model for what you're going to do when you're married, because being married is different. It's permanent.
So you're saying don't live together before you...
Well, I know the stats on living together. It's like you live with someone and then you marry them, you're more likely to get divorced.
So you
it doesn't work. Like the theory was, you try it out and if it works, you go ahead with it. Yeah, well, the theory was wrong because that isn't what happens. It actually increases the probability that the relationship will fail. It's also partly, you gotta ask yourself what the message is. I know what the message is when you live with someone. It's pretty straightforward. You'll do unless someone better comes along, and I'll grant you the same opportunity. But Jesus, that's a hell of a foundation for a long-term relationship. That you do in your entire life, then find a partner and establish a family. It's like it's gonna be hard. How to do it optimally? Well, I can tell you in my own experience, I've known my wife since she was 8, and we were friends, good friends, and we kind of departed from each other during adolescence. I was a year younger than everyone in my class, and she matured faster, women do anyways, and so that kind of split us apart. And we didn't get married till, I think we were about 27, something like that, 28. But it would have been better to do it earlier.
So get married earlier?
Yeah, it's just time I didn't have with her. The general rule of thumb for life is that you should do what other people have done forever unless you have a really good reason not to. Don't deviate from the straight and narrow path. Like you are already deviating in all sorts of ways. You're very entrepreneurial, right? So your life has a variety of adventurous pathways. You're gonna wanna put firm foundation wherever you can. That'll actually free you up to do more adventurous things. Children are a multi-generational commitment because it's children and grandchildren. And so the marriage is a signifier of that. And in order to stay with someone optimally over the longest period of time possible, it has to be serious. And for something to be serious, you have to throw everything at it. And you might say, well, love is enough. It's like, that's a very naive view of the world, because there'll be times, because that's kind of like saying, well, as long as we love each other and we're happy, we'll be together. It's like, well, if you're talking 40 years, there's going to be plenty of years in there where you're not happy and you probably don't love each other. So what then? Is it just going to dissolve? Or are you going to say, we're in this, come hell or high water, which is the vow. Come hell and high water, they're coming. And then you got to ask yourself, is this the person you want in the boat with you when hell and high water come? And that's not going to be fun. That's for sure. You want to do it alone? Or you think that when everything falls apart around you, you're going to be in a better position to find someone better? I don't think so. It's a long, and then, you take the marital vow in a religious sense and you do it in front of a community, right? So it signifies commitment, and you need that because, you think you can maintain all that commitment on your own? Maybe you can. I doubt it. Generally, people can't, no one. We need to fortify ourselves in all sorts of ways to get through the things in life that are most difficult. You're talking about a multitude of different bonds, right? Fundamentally, right? The one that you're prioritizing is the bond that's voluntary and predicated on what? The love of the moment? I mean, we want to be precise here, right? So I think that's a reasonable way of conceptualizing it. And it is a romantic view that should prevail. And it's a romantic view that should be sufficient. I don't think it's often the case that it doesn't prevail, and it's generally the case that it's not sufficient. And so then you might say, well, maybe you want to add a legal element to that, and you want to add a metaphysical element to it, because those are all fortifications.
Mm-hmm.
And they're indications even to yourself that you're serious. It's not like we understand ourselves. Like people are just as mysterious to themselves as someone else is mysterious to them. You go ask yourself, it's like, okay, well, what do I have to put in place to ensure that I'm doing the right thing? Well, when you're embarking on something difficult, like marriage, then you better have everything necessary in place. True. I mean, both of us just about died in the last 5 years. And I don't mean by a little bit. I mean, like, it was touch and go for a long time. So it was a good thing everything was in place through that. I mean, the waters were pretty high for the last 3 years, 4 years. Socially, professionally, physically. What are you wrestling with exactly, like in this issue?
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like you're trying to sort out the relationship between the emotional attachment and the personal attachment and the social structures that, say, surround marriage. So you bring those images to mind, right? So you've got this question in mind. You just found out something. You said that there's something at the bottom of this. Okay, now if you watch your fantasies, they'll shed light on this descent into the abyss, so to speak. Now, you had a flash of memory. Okay, that memory is associated with all sorts of things. Now, you can bring that to mind and let it play itself out, right? And it'll explore the contours of the problem that Now, you put your finger on a very important problem. You said that you saw in your father someone who's trapped in his marriage.
Yeah.
Well, it's no bloody wonder you're leery of that, right? So now the question would be, what was the nature of that entrapment? What evidence did you have that was in fact the case? How much of that was him? How much of that was her? And what is it that they did wrong and right? You need to know all of that, and you need to know how it affected you. That's a great observation. See, that's so cool, because that very frequently happens to people when they ask a question. That's like a revelation. So you ask a question. That's like a prayer. The question is there something at the bottom of the trouble I'm having conceptualizing marriage? Okay, now you want to know. That's the first precondition. Okay, then you'll get memories, images like that. And then people shy away. It's like, I don't want to go there. It's like, yeah, that's for sure. You bloody well don't want to go there. But you do, because if it's there, you will go there, right? It'll plague you. It'll plague your life. It'll show its head continually in your relationship. Or you can get to the bottom of it, which is people will fight their whole life with their partner to avoid getting to the bottom of something. That's how terrifying it is to get to the bottom of something, right? But if you do get to the bottom of it, then you don't have to fight for 30 years. So that's very much worthwhile. And it'll lighten you as well. Because you have a real issue. It's like, how can marriage not be a trap?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right, definitely. That's a very good question, and an important one. How can marriage be a trap? How can not being married be a trap? How can being alone be a trap? How can being deluded about what holds people together be a trap? There's traps everywhere, man. There's traps everywhere. And so there's no risk-free pathway forward. There's just risk everywhere. Okay, so that's a really useful thing to know. Then the question would shift to something like, well, if I wanted to construct a relationship that was optimized, that's what you have to ask yourself. It's like, and your partner, it's like, what are we doing here? What do we want? Tammy and I decided, for example, when we first got married, I mentioned this to her right away when we decided that we were going to take things seriously. It was like, we're going to tell each other the truth. So that was part of the vision. Like, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. She's been very good at that. I would say better than me. I've been good at it, but she's been really quite remarkably good at it. She really threw herself into it. And I mean, that causes a complete transformation, but there's plenty of skeletons in the closet to be revealed. God, that's for sure.